I'd rather do short.
What up, virtual people? Welcome to a very special edition episode of VCR Redux, where we take your favorite franchises out of the analog era and bring them back to 2023. I'm your host, pop culture punk Chris Stiles, joined as always by my co-host with the most, film professor Ian Klink.
I'd buy that for $1.
And today we have the most radical of guests. He's a producer whose work includes, but is not limited to, Crystal Lake Memories, The Complete History of Friday the 13th, Never Sleep Again, The Elm Street Legacy, You're So Cool, Brewster, The Story of Fright Night, and Pennywise, The Story of It.
Oh.
His newest masterpiece is Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares, The Robert Englund Story, and RoboDoc, The Creation of RoboCop, are available on Screenbox now. Mike Perez is back on the show.
Woo.
We are not worthy,
Not
sir.
worthy.
Not worthy.
Thanks for having me back.
Thank you.
Oh, please,
so much.
welcome back, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming back on. There is so much to talk about since the last time we spoke, between Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares and RoboDoc. I have been tracking RoboDoc for, I feel like, since its inception.
For 7 years now.
Has it been that long? I was gonna say, I
It's
feel
been
like it was
7
2016 since I started tracking it. Maybe you can explain a little bit about this long process.
Oh, you want me to explain it now?
Yeah, well, if you wouldn't mind,
Okay.
whatever.
So yeah, 7 years ago, let's see, my producing partners put out the You're So Cool, Brewster, which I told you I worked on very little. They just needed someone over here in the US to put together interviews because they can only come over for so long. So they have to go back home, and they need someone kind of like stationary to kind of handle things here. So that was kind of my job. And then RoboCop was really the first one I did full-fledged with them, producing wise. And so, sometimes you can get lucky and you can get someone to fully finance your documentary. Sometimes you have to go to crowdfunding. It's just the way of the world of indie filmmaking. And we ended up doing a crowdfunding. And we made our goal. Everything went great. Now, what happened was during the filming process, which, we have to sit down and we're like, okay, we have to interview the following. Like, these people must be interviewed. Well, every time someone came in to interview, they would call like 4 other people. And they're like, oh, you got to come in for this. This is fantastic. So
Nice.
We got lucky that way. So literally we have every living person from the RoboCop franchise except for Miguel Ferrer, who was he said he would do it, but he was actually really sick at the time.
Yeah.
So we definitely had his support. But he gave us the support and said, continue on, make this the biggest thing you got. So we did, and it grew 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 and it kept growing and it kept growing. Well, what that means is more money and more time and a lot of things. But we just couldn't get Peter Weller on the line. For some reason, he did not want to do it. Many people called him. Nancy Allen called him. And it's like we tried to explain to them. We're like, dude, we're making a documentary about you. Like, this is about you.
Yeah.
And he wasn't interested. He said he was tired of talking about RoboCop.
Fascinating.
I had heard that. I had heard whispers of that.
I get it. Like, if you don't want to talk about it, you don't want to talk about it. But I mean, why would you not directly want to participate in something that every other person
Mhm.
is participating in. So it took us 4 years to get him on board. 4 years. So in the meantime, while we're in post-production, we're editing, we're doing all that fun stuff, we're still going after him, still bugging the crap out of him. And then he finally said yes.
That's a
And
very
then
that's a heartwarmingly encouraging story too. Like to
yeah,
people
I
that's
mean,
like, don't give up, don't give up, you know?
perseverance is everything, I tell you.
Yeah.
I don't care if people think I'm a pest. I'm like, you have to bug people to death if you really want them to do your project. Like, and plus it shows them how much you want them to be a part of it.
It's true.
So we finally got him. We filmed this interview, and then we got locked down from the big old pandemic.
Of
Oh.
course.
Now we still had some editing to do. We still had some sound mixing to do, but that didn't really take that long. But distributors were not wanting to take a financial risk. They're still not. There's still distributors out there who aren't taking on any new things because they don't want to lose money. If they don't feel like it's going to bring them a ton of money, they're not interested.
Hmm.
So we had, or should I say, we have 5 documentaries in the can finished. And we're now just, that's why we've had 3 out so far this year, because we're really just trying to get them out. It's
You
not
telling me that is like George Lucas telling some kid, like, you know, I've got 9 other Star Wars movies, and it's like, oh, I just want to see these so bad. Like,
yeah, no, it sucks that, I wish we could put them all out at once, but you don't really want to be in competition with yourself.
of course,
Yeah.
yeah.
And people got, and it's hard, especially when things are done independently, and we've had to do crowdfunding. A lot of people don't understand, like, these do take time.
Mhm.
If you want a pile of crap delivered to you, like, yeah, we could do that in no time, but our names are on these and we don't want that. We want to deliver good quality work. And there's documentaries right now where I think people, they're still wanting Night of the Demons, they're still wanting Sleepaway Camp, and those are
Yeah.
coming, but we we have to get we have to try to go in somewhat of an order of of what we did originally. So, and it's hard to explain that to people because we live in a society where everything's available right now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
people don't want to wait.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that I have to tell people, hold your damn horses. It's
also
happening.
I was gonna say, it's also impressive. Sorry, Ian, I'll let you speak. I actually have to get
I
my
was just
cat
gonna
real
say,
quick anyways.
it's very interesting, Mike, that you say that because my students all the time, they're watching something on YouTube, and that somebody just at their home grabbed some footage online, put together a documentary about a movie, didn't interview people, but just got clips and took this from an interview from 1983 and just kind of spliced it together. It's informative, but as you're saying, does it have kind of the extra spices that gets put in there that you want? Does it have the extra flavoring? And sometimes no, it doesn't. And it's you talking about wanting to get Peter Weller for a RoboCop documentary. It would be weird if he wasn't in the documentary, and probably the first criticism people might say.
Yeah.
So I understand that completely. Of just, it's a weird world to be in.
Well,
where things do get so fast.
We were trying to hold out as long as we could to get Peter, because again, that's like doing a Friday the 13th documentary without any of the Jasons. songs. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
you just can't do it. You know, he was needed. So
Well,
Which it's funny. I think of an artist though. I keep thinking about, if you're in those bands from, Chris would probably relate to this. If you're in a band who has a hit, back in 1987, and every day you go to a concert, you're playing the same song over and over and over again. Do they really want to play that song?
Yeah.
They
Berlin would
again,
open and close with the final countdown, I think it was.
Yeah, but as the audience, we want to hear that song. We want to hear about it. So I guess I can understand both sides of the argument.
Well, it's also
Peter
a good
Weller,
time, but at the same time, it's a great chance and it's a great opportunity for him to put that to bed. This is what my last chance. This is my last time talking about it. Now they'll know everything. They won't have to ask me these stupid things they always ask me, or whatever it is that he got burnt out of talking on it about. But I remember, like I said, I tracked this documentary for a while, and I remember hearing that when I found out that, you guys did get Peter Weller, I was super excited, but at the same time, I knew, I was like, wow, this is going to be like at least adding another year to this now. Like, this is going to be like almost like starting all over. Because I just imagine, like, if I was trying to go without him and cut around it and this and that, then it's like, all right, now you got the heartbeat of this thing. It's like major surgery in the editing room. And
well, that's the thing. A lot of people don't understand, the concept of filmmaking is like, you can't just slide things in. Like, you literally have to unlock your cut.
Yeah.
And that's in itself expensive and time consuming. So to put Peter in there, we were willing to do that. But yeah, essentially it's very, very, very time consuming.
Apologize, by the way, my cat really demanded a second cameo on tonight's show. So this is Rufus,
hi,
everybody.
Kitty.
Say hi to everyone in VCR land, Rufus. Thanks for ruining the sound on my my show.
No.
Yeah, no, I know. He's great. He's a good cat. But I do want to get into a little bit, of course, of Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares, but I also want to say hi to everyone in the live chat that's tuning in. And guys, if you have questions for Mike, please, now's the time. And also want to hear about how everyone discovered RoboCop as a kid, if they do remember that. But I see in the chat so far, Angie Saunders, Miyagi Do Forever, Alex Bonafonte, Dustin Nino from Retro Fiend Radio, Sean Gold of Gold's Code, Lewis Wagner, Anakin Skywalker fan, and Mikey Riffraff, the mashup genius, along with Angie Saunders in the chat. So there's a lot of love for Peter Weller in here. Gold's Code says there's an urban legend that RoboCop 3 was supposed to be about OCP ruining Detroit via a downhill rollerblading race. I see what Gold's Code is doing. Every movie we talk about on this show, Gold's Code has a an airborne connection, airborne like crossover. It's brilliant stuff.
Is it though? There's certain films and documentaries that don't need to be made, and that's probably a movie that doesn't need anything ever attached to it ever again. So that one could be buried in toxic waste and run over by a car.
Well, Gold's Code begs the question: when is the airborne documentary happening? And I have a feeling that might not be on Mike's to-do list. But we can all dream. I know the Sean Gold airborne story has yet to be told, and will be to the public one of these days.
I think we all have dreams of what a documentary we want to have made, but the ones that I would like to see would never get made.
What would you like to see that would never get made? That's a great question.
I have to settle for special features. Fried green tomatoes and beaches and
yes. Hell yes.
Movies like that, like Mona Lisa's Smile, like those are movies that I would love to see. Good length.
I would throw into that list like some 80s rom-coms like Mannequin, Can't Buy Me Love.
Sure.
Sure. Like I saw all those In Search of Darkness things, and I was like, can't there be like In Search of 80s rom-coms or something, or In Search of 90s rom-com? Like that would be incredible. Like Love Potion number 9, like those kinds of movies that don't get the love.
Yeah. Don't give those people any more money.
just one of the guys. Yeah, no, not I mean, I don't want to say anything bad, they're
That's
very
okay. I will.
successful. Okay, go for it, please. Yeah.
Just a perfect example of people learn how to beat the what do you call that on the internet? The what is that thing that keeps you from like promoting and um
Algorithm.
algorithm? Thank you.
Okay.
They've got someone on that team that has learned how to beat the algorithm. Therefore, their promotions, their give us money campaigns, make so much money. They're not putting all that money into those. Just saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, well, I had a feeling that that's a part of the business at probably more levels than most people would realize, at least that aren't in it. But that's a shame, because the fans deserve to be treated better than that, that like
I
again,
mean,
if
it's
you're a
fine
fan like
if you want to advertise that yourself as a clip show, fine, but don't advertise as a documentary when that's not what that is.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Looks like we may have Alex Bonafante, I'm assuming, coming into the stream here, which if so, I would be very excited.
Trying to figure out the video.
Trying to figure out the video. There should be a start video button. But in the meantime, I did want to ask Mike about how when the idea of Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares, the Robert Englund documentary, came out, because I was just blown away watching last night, and I'm so glad I have Screenbox now.
Well, I mean, the idea of that, here's the thing: we're running out of franchises. It's
Never.
happening. It's starting to
Never.
happen. And I've had a long history with Robert and his wife, probably 15, 16 years. And
Oh, wow.
Gary Smart, who is the director of Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares, he is a huge Robert Englund fan. So, and he wanted to do something on Robert, and the first thing I said was, we can't do anything else on Nightmare on Elm Street. Like that's cooked. It's done. Like I don't even
probably
think
similar to Peter Weller. He's probably like, I talked about it with you already.
I guarantee if I had went to Robert with something on Elm Street, he would have been like, I'm not interested. He has said what he needed to say. And so we decided that, we all sat around, we're like, but Robert's more than just Freddy Krueger. And he's had such a great career, and people don't know that. You could say Robert Englund, and a lot of people will say who, but if you say Freddy Krueger, everybody knows who you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
True.
So we gave him a call and we said, Robert, we want to do a documentary on your life. And he said, okay. Like, he was all for it. Like, I think there was a dinner involved, and then it was all done.
Wow.
And it was great. And he picked some of the movies for people from us to interview from that he worked closely with. And of course, there's a handful of Elm Street alumni there. Heather Langenkamp and Tuesday Night, Kelly Jo Minter, and Danny Hassel.
Kelly Jo.
Amanda Wiss, so we got the Elm Street portion in there, which people do want to hear about. But I think at first when we were vocally saying we weren't going to focus on Elm Street, I think people were a little disappointed. But I think once they saw it, I think they liked the fact that we just did not focus on Elm Street.
Well, he's had a career. I remember one of my favorite DVD documentaries is one of Toby Hooper's early movies, Eaten Alive, which is like one of Robert Englund's
well covered in the doc.
Which is wonderful. I mean, like, my question for you is, how much on the editing room floor did you have? Because if there's one thing people know about Robert Englund, he talks a long time, and it's awesome.
Robert's a storyteller.
Yeah.
The funny thing is when we were doing Never Sleep Again, that was really my first scenario of sitting in on with interviews with him, and we'd ask him a question and he would go off on this story that had, to us, no meaning to the question that we asked. And and time is money. And so we're like, Robert, like, we kind of need you to just give us sound bites. Because we only have the studio for so long. And he literally said, he goes, well, this is how I answer questions, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. Okay. Like, that's it. So, but Robert is, he's a genuine guy, and he's not a storyteller where he's just pulling stories out of his ass. He's a genuine storyteller, and they all come from personal experiences. And it's so intriguing to hear what, the things that he has to say. You could learn a lot of do's and don'ts from Robert.
Interesting.
Oh, I would bet. I loved, one of my favorite moments in history was the Phantom of the Opera. Robert Englund, it was sort of like the end of the 80s. It was like Freddie was, seeming like it was almost done. It was kind of wrapping things up. Freddie's Dead was just around the corner, which is one of my favorites. But I feel like sort of his history almost forgot about this version of this movie that happened. That's why I was so delighted that it was so well covered. And I had no idea as a little kid that was Dwight Little, who directed Halloween 4, which is one of my favorite Halloweens. And I also always kind of had this sneaking suspicion, like all this, again, guys, go out and watch this documentary. But they talks about how the face was doctored on the poster to look a little bit more like Freddy than what it even
they
did
the that
movie.
They did that after the fact, as a somewhat of a marketing ploy.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That was done, seemingly behind Robert Englund's back. And again, like they talk about it, it's very well covered. I don't want to repeat everything that was said about it in the documentary, but again, just go out and watch this movie. Get Screenbox, guys. There's a free trial available. Everyone who has Prime can get it. You're missing out if you don't. But in the chat, Dustin Nino says, first saw RoboCop at a friend's house. His mom made him fast forward through the scene when Weller gets killed. That's kind of funny.
It's pretty bloody.
It is. It's one of those movies for me. I don't actually have a memory of the first time I saw RoboCop because it's so ingrained into my, I saw it so many times when I was 3 years old that it was, I don't remember which one was the first time, but it's just, there's only a few short movies on that list, really, like Back to the Future, Karate Kid, and probably RoboCop.
Well, the funny thing is so when my UK producing partners brought up that they wanted to do RoboCop, and they're like, do you want to be on board? I mean, sure, I'm gonna say yes to the job, but I had never seen RoboCop.
That is fascinating.
At that point.
I was fascinating.
So I was like, I better do some research. So I actually watched the RoboCops, and I think they're all fun, to be honest. But the first one was definitely a little more gory than I anticipated, for sure.
I could definitely see that. It's probably gory than I remembered. I didn't realize how extreme the gore was. But it was the 80s, so maybe it wasn't that extreme comparatively at the time. But then as movies kind of get tamer, you look at RoboCop and you're like, wow, this was a thing that could not happen this way now. And
Well, I think even in the documentary, I think we slow it down. Like we literally, I think we go frame by frame and showing like them shooting off his hand and everything else, and it's pretty nasty.
In the squib scene, I remember there was a teaser you guys had released at one point. It was like a chunk of them talking about the boardroom execution, the guy at the beginning with Ed 209. And I was like, oh, like even that was bigger than any movie trailer for me that year, whatever that was when that came out. I like that 25-minute chunk you guys dropped. I was like, oh man, I'll watch this.
Well, we had to show the people something because people were complaining that it was never going to happen, and we're like, no, it's happening. I promise. See, look, we are working on this.
So that's why that came about. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, did you
well
guys,
played because
did you ever get like competition, like, you know, because while you guys are doing this, Phil Tippett has his documentary that comes out, and you know, is that something you guys think about where you're like, oh well, oh okay, all right, so
no, the way that I think, and I've always thought like this is, I feel like there's plenty of room for success for everybody. Because if you think, I mean, if you really think about it, everyone's going to have their own way of doing their own documentary. So no documentary is going to be the same. So, you know, but no, there was no worry of competition, nothing. Okay. And again, we also didn't plan on it taking 7 years.
Yeah, well, that's what I was wondering. It's like, oh, well, now that came out, do we edit some of Phil's conversations? Do we edit, you know?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that would be, because Phil's was about his whole career, right? Again, like he's probably, you know, got plenty to talk about.
Well,
I mean,
that's
absolutely.
True, yeah.
Undoubtedly,
he was amazing inviting us up there. I didn't get to go. I was really disappointed. I was actually in the hospital with kidney stones. Working on my laptop from the hospital room, trying to set up interviews and everything else. So I didn't get to go on that trip to San Francisco. So
man, I'm so sorry. That's awful.
So I missed out on some of that fun. Yeah.
Oh man.
Have you ever I think I remember, Mike, I think last time I asked you this, but I can't remember your answer to it. So I apologize if I'm repeating, but have you ever done an interview with somebody and it just tanks? Like they don't give you any of the goods. They, you know, I don't want you to name names. Have you ever just been like, and how do you like, what do you do? Do you Monday morning quarterback that and be like, all right, we're going to cut this interview completely?
Well, it depends on how it comes about. Like if it happens in a sense of maybe some people don't like to be interviewed. Mm-hmm. Like they don't like being themselves on camera. You know, some people are just like that. I know quite a few people who are like that. And then there are people who are, can I swear on here?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, by all means.
Okay. Some people are just assholes and they're like, I'm going to give them the worst interview and they won't even be able to use it. Wrong. I'm going to make you look like the asshole.
Oh my God. Why? Why would you do that? Like, why do that? Like just out of revenge or like for what?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, an actress, whose name rhymes with fueled pepper. That's all I'll say. You guys try to figure it out.
Oh man. Well, while we do that, there is again some more talk in the chat. A lot of love for the director's cut of RoboCop. I'm assuming you must have watched that the first time you watched it, and not like the
I think that's
cut.
the one that I watched. Yeah,
where the 20-minute conference bullet scene where the guy just squib after squib after squib.
Yeah.
It's beautiful though. They you know, again, it's very well covered in the documentary, episode 3 of which came out today, by the way, folks. And there's one more coming out a week from today. And I'm kind of sad because now I know it's coming to an end. Tell me there's gonna be like this is gonna be a continuous journey.
But now you can buy the Blu-ray in the special steel case. Blu-ray, like
awesome.
you know, so
I will say I'm usually not like I don't care what the case comes in, if it's steel or chenille or whatever, but this is one that I'm like gonna be proud to have the steel case
did
of
you say
because
chenille?
I did. I heard that word recently and it's just a fun word. I don't know. It's just
I didn't know
always
if
been
you
a
meant
funny
to
word.
say Chanel or something.
No, chenille. It's like a very it's like a fine woven fabric, isn't
This
it?
is exactly why we lose audience.
It sounds like an 80s perfume.
It does.
You know, I bet you there was like RoboCop, like Japanese RoboCop ads for chenille cloth in the day, and we just don't even know about it. Because there was some incredible stuff. There's some incredible moments of
I think that's
the
probably from the Nightmare documentary series. That was probably one of my favorite things is when you guys included all the like the non-licensed, Freddy
like
Krueger
the
sleeping
Bollywood
pills.
stuff.
Yes, and like
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger pajamas and the hotline, and
You know what? Honestly, the thing is, even I get it's another country, but I still don't know how they get away with it.
I don't either. It fascinates me. Or
I must be like one of those like there's no extradition. There's no, like diplomatic relationship between that country and, their government and our government or whatever it is. It's like, what are you gonna do? I'm based out of Dubai. Good luck.
Exactly.
Yeah, good luck suing me. I'm based out of Dubai.
They did so much. Like they made candy sleeping pills and
weird.
Oh my God.
it's just like it's or not sleeping pills but stay awake pills and
Wow.
it's just crazy like that people can like do that stuff illegally and there's no backlash. Like most of the time we just laugh at it, but
Well, did you find like so and again, not to harp on this, but like you get Peter Weller there. Did he find like something he had not talked about that he got to like, oh, actually, I never talked about this before. Like this is
I'm
interesting.
sure.
Did you get that, or was it just kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah?
I don't specifically remember him saying that as he was exiting the interview, but we basically said, think about this as if this is the last time you're going to ever talk about RoboCop. Now, I did hear that he was at a convention a couple weeks ago, and during the panel, someone asked him if he was excited about the documentary coming out, and he says, I can't wait for the documentary to come out so people will stop asking me questions about this damn movie. But I don't think he understands is like it's probably going to get worse.
Yeah, that's the kind of sort of the rub about it, but at least you know what? It'll get worse, but it'll get better because they have new things to talk to him about now. So they'll talk about like, oh, moving the chest first, and that was so brilliant. Or they'll talk about, oh, it's so cool to see you and Moni Yakim in the, documentary. And at least it's not just like, I was RoboCop too. He was a kid, it's tough. It can be tough to sit there all day. And if you get caught next to someone who just won't leave, and especially if they're a little stinky.
It's very energy draining. It is.
Yeah. You have to pour like positivity and joy into these strangers for like 5 minutes and have them walking away on a cloud. At the end of the day, you're done. You felt like you've been rolled over, run over by a steamroller, I should say. But I think we have Alex Bonafonte in the chat yet again, or on the panel. Is Alex? Are you there, Alex? Maybe it's Alex Murphy. I don't know. It's the ghost of Alex Murphy. Maybe out of communication.
Yeah, I have audio, no video.
Okay, Alex Bonafonte is trying to join us, I'm being told.
I can hear you, I can speak, but you just can't see.
Oh, okay.
Computer, webcam is not working.
Coming in. Anyway, while Work out that
Yeah, I
tech issue.
restarted, updated everything, and still no dice.
Okay, so yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know how much. I
Hmm?
don't know if the audience can hear Alex not right now. It's a little distracting for me. I do want to say, I know you've told me a little bit about what documentaries you have coming up in the works.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious what you can, please, tease the people at home, whatever you can talk about. I know you probably
Tell
can't
Me
talk about
Heaven
all of
Help
them.
Us is one of the documentaries.
Oh,
I
Please.
love that movie so much.
Who doesn't? Yes, Mike.
It's a
Thank
great
you.
movie.
We
That
need
could be
that
on the 80s
documentary.
rom-com doc. though.
Mary Stuart Masterson is one of my forever idols. So
Ah.
Oh,
you
well
know,
played.
she
One of my
can
Definitely.
favorite
she
movies
can do
of
no wrong in my
all.
eyes.
Yeah, one of
This
my
may be
favorite movies-
controversial, but
What?
Some Kind of Wonderful is more than Pretty in Pink to me.
Say that to Melanie Mullen and see what happens.
Oh, is she a ducky girl or
She
something?
hates Mary Stuart Masterson,
Oh, I remember that came out on the
Melanie
show
hates
once.
every
She did.
good thing in this.
but she
world.
hates everything. So
She hates my Tubi. I don't like Melanie. Right?
Yeah.
Like she bashes my Tubi all the time, and I can't live without
Tubi,
my
like the
Tubi.
streaming service Tubi?
Yes. Oh my god, they have everything
Oh.
on there I need. So
I want to do a show, sidebar here, but I want to do a show where I put on the most ridiculous movie on Tubi, and then I have to let 2 more movies autoplay. I want to call it Tubi or Not to Be, and it just review the worst movies ever, and just like every week, just do another episode of Tubi or Not to Be. So if you folks want to see that, let us know in the comments. So I shamelessly plug show ideas that I haven't even pitched anyone.
But no, to answer your question, so what's happening? We're not to brag, I'm gonna toot my own horn a little bit. Toot.
go for it.
Dude, brag by all means. If anyone has the right, sir.
3 #1 documentaries in a matter of 8 months is
Man,
quite
seriously.
a lot.
Worthy of the slow clap, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we're gonna take a little bit of we're not breaking, but we are breaking from releasing, because again, you don't want to get in that position where you're competing against yourself.
Well, and you probably are, while you have like, however many in the works, you probably have editors going around the clock, like different editors working on different docs, I would imagine, right?
Well,
Or is it always the same kind of team in post?
it depends. It depends if I'm working with my US people or if I'm doing things with my UK guys. With my UK guys for RoboDoc and Friday Night and all that, we pretty much have the same team for the most part. And I should say even here we have the same team, same editors and everything else, but I'm trying to think. So probably next year, I think the first thing we're going to release is Police Academy.
Oh man, that's another one I've been following for a while.
So that one's coming, and then I think after that is going to be Night of the Demons.
Oh yes, I've met quite a few of them, and they're all sweethearts. They're all like awesome, great cast.
As long as everybody in your documentary about Night of the Demons acknowledges how awful it was to even attempt to remake Night of the Demons, and I hope they just bash on that. No,
I'm sure that will be covered.
It's covered. It's covered.
Okay.
And then Sleepaway Camp, of course.
Yes. Oh yeah, our audience is
We're
Hester's
we're
Melanie.
about 60% done with interviewing people.
Nice.
So I still have quite a I still have some. All the sequel people are done. So
Oh wow.
because they all lived in the same place. They never moved. So I went out to a convention in Georgia and I got everybody. So
Did you even get Pamela?
I can't say.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, well, I just have to ask. I'm such a fan. I'm sorry. I
Of
know I
course,
shouldn't be asking
no.
these things.
By,
But I'm
by
just like,
all means,
did you, what? Like,
that's gonna be.
I shouldn't even bother asking because your stuff
One of
is
the
always
but
so complete.
just because you brought it up, I have to complain about this. One of the most ripped offs ever in the history of anybody who ever rented the VHS of Sleepaway Camp 2, thinking you were gonna see Freddy Krueger glove, you were gonna see a hockey mask, you were gonna see all of that, and you don't get any of that in the movie.
Well, you kind of do.
Yeah.
What scene? Well, wait a minute. Wait. Okay, which is the one that has the lawnmower?
Two of the campers try to play a joke on Angela, and one of them's wearing a hockey mask and has a chainsaw, and the other one has a Freddy glove. Needless to say, they don't live to tell the tale, but
That's okay. Which is the one that has the kid, the guy that gets run over by the lawnmower? Is that 3? Is that Teenage Wasteland?
The woman, yeah.
That's Teenage Wasteland. Okay, see, I always get them mixed up. But
It's interesting for me. I mean, both franchises. I should say this actually. The RoboCop sequels kind of make me sad because of when I think of like what could have been. The Sleepaway Camp movies are like kind of just as sleazy as I want them to be. Like I wish more franchises in the 80s did like I wish there was like Carrie 3, Teenage Wasteland, and you know what I mean? Like I wish, it's weird what went on. There was a million slumber party massacres and sorority house massacres, but there was, a million prom nights, but not as many Halloweens as we could have gotten,
But prom night 2 and 3 are so fun.
They are. They
Yeah,
really are. I don't even like the original.
Nobody acknowledges.
I don't either.
Nobody acknowledges Prom Night 3. But have you actually seen 4?
No.
There's a 4?
Yes. Prom Night 4, Deliver Us from Evil, is probably one of the greatest 80s slasher movie that nobody has ever seen. And I'm not just being, Ian Klink about this. I'm being truthful. It's like if they had released it as Deliver Us from Evil, because literally it's about an escaped priest who goes after the kids on prom night who are sleeping and sinning. Like it's actually fascinating. I did one of my B movie challenges on all the 4.
Well, I think a lot of them, like, part 2, if they had just stuck with Hamilton High, it would have been so much more of a success.
Yes, I agree with that. And 3 is hilarious.
3 is very campy. 3 is very campy. Beyond camp, but it's still so much fun.
It's good, but those two together, you watch, hello, for some odd reason. Is it Prom Night 2 or is it Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2?
Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2.
It is Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2. Yeah, you gotta stick with the original VHS titles. But yeah, if it was Hamilton High and Return to Hamilton High as those like 2 and 3, it would have been a whole different series, which is great.
But getting back to RoboCop, I mean, as a kid, like I walked out of RoboCop 2 in a movie theater, not knowing any better. But I think about it now as an adult, and I always do this. I always go, imagine if RoboCop 2 was like T2 Judgment Day level successful and like good and like all this stuff. And then imagine if Terminator 2 was like RoboCop 2 level of like, we're just going to kind of make the same movie again and a little, some tweaks and blah, blah, blah. And I always want to look at different parts of the multiverse. Like I want to see that multiverse where like Terminator was done after like 2, or the 3 was made by like a bankrupt Orion. But how much of an undertaking was
3 is not bad. I think we talked about this on our RoboCop episode. It's not bad. I think it's just it didn't have Peter Weller, so automatically people just cut it off.
Right. I mean, the fact that it was minus Peter Weller 1, and then 2, it wasn't like as gory. It was everything that the first one wasn't.
Yeah.
And that's what went against it. So
I love Fred Decker. It's certainly not his fault at all.
Fred is amazing. Fred is one of the coolest guys in the world.
I'm so glad to hear that. I actually, as a fan, I just cold messaged him once, and it was like right after I made this mashup. It was like some Monster Squad 2 with like Freddy and Jason and Michael and Pinhead and all these people. And I was like, "Here, you made this. I love your movies." And he was nice enough to respond. He was just like, "Oh, that's cool. Thank you so much." He's probably seen 100 of that same mashup. People like, "I always wanted this."
He is such a big movie buff and comic book nerd, like it's ridiculous. He's just one of the coolest guys, and I remember the day that we interviewed him. It was just me on set, because my boys had gone back to the UK. We interviewed him and Galen George at the same time, and me and Galen became like instant friends.
That's so cool.
Like instant best friends. And I loved her part in part 2. Like she was just a badass. And it's so sad, like when I saw the airing of the episode.
That was it.
And she passed away. So it's hey kitty. So I'll remember Fred's interview forever because of Galen. But
oh man, that's really heartbreaking. Well, in lighter news, we have the great Alex Bonafonte here. Finally made his VCR Redux appearance here. He has been lighting up the comments with some of the best pitches in our chat since I think like the very first episode. So thank you so much for coming on, my man.
Thank you for having me.
Do you have any questions for Mike in regards to any of the incredible documentaries he's made? Is an amazing body of work?
Yeah. How can people view his work?
All right. Where's the best place to view your work? Great question.
Anywhere.
Let's see. I can
Amazon, Netflix, Screenbox, Walmart, Best Buy.
Everywhere movies are sold.
Yeah, basically.
Pennywise is on Tubi.
And Pennywise is on Tubi.
It's also available. All these projects are available on physical media, at least eventually. I understand that now the way the business works, you kind of have to dip it on streaming first and then like drum up interest in a physical release. I think that's the logic behind the way things are.
I believe that's the logic. I kind of stay out of that because,
right.
I just want my paycheck at the end of the day. So I'm like, it's yours now. You do what you want with it. So
right on. So I mean, how does that work? Is it like the physical media end of the business is probably better for you guys than the streaming end?
I still think the physical media aspect of the ones that we're doing is still better because of the fact that, the horror genre is people collect. You know what I mean? Like they collect and they want physical items and they want to get them signed at conventions and whatnot. So, again, I couldn't do the same thing for A League of Their Own and expect the same outcome. It wouldn't happen.
Oh man, but just do it anyway, please. Just do it.
I you know what? If Madonna would say yes, I totally would.
Oh my gosh. Well, I hope that happens. We're gonna will this into existence. Why wouldn't she say yes? Because she's the best and you're the best, and
she doesn't like to focus on the past.
Well, this is not just her past. This is America's past.
It is.
And the story needs to be retold yet again. I want to know from everyone about shooting the Tom Hanks pissing scene. It's one of my favorite things. Movie stars, you ever notice this? They have certain things that they do over and over and over again. Tom Cruise always runs directly at the lens. Arnold always says, "Trust me." There's a lot of like things. Van Damme always does a split, shows his butts. What? Yeah, Harrison Ford always points. Denzel Washington
Harrison
always
Ford
makes
doesn't point in the movie, I'm out.
Yeah, and I forgot. I went down too deep down this rabbit hole. Who were you even talking about now?
Madonna, League of Their Own.
Madonna. No. Shit, I forgot. Well, Tom Hanks. He always pisses. Thank you. He pees in Castaway. He pees in League of Their Own. It's how you introduce his character. The PC in Castaway is weird because it's literally just there and it does nothing for the movie. Like he gets up in the middle of the night, goes to the ocean, pees, and comes back, and like that's a scene.
Yeah,
I
but
love
isn't
Castaway.
that when he sees the light way out in the ocean and he thinks it's a rescue ship looking for him?
Is that the same scene? Maybe
I
I need
think
to
it
rewatch
is.
Castaway. Okay.
Castaway
Well,
is like one
shit.
of my favorite movies.
It's one of mine too. I was
Yeah.
like,
I don't remember him
so
pissing in Mazes and Monsters. I could be wrong.
well, he what was another one that he pees in Forrest Gump, or at least he has to pee when he meets the president. Like I'm telling you, it's not just me. He gets pissed on by a peeing statue in Money Pit.
Yeah.
There's the Burbs, he runs out of the room pretending he has to pee. There's a lot of things with Tom Hanks and pee. It's not just me. I'm just
You know,
saying.
whatever
But
floats your boat.
I'm just saying there's certain I want to hear about this scene. It's a great scene. And I met Betty Spaghetti, who is actually Penny Marshall's
Oh,
daughter.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
incredible. And like who doesn't love Betty Spaghetti, right?
yeah.
That scene, I met her and Shirley Baker, the great Ann Cusack, and they really add a lot to that movie. Not to get too much into a league of their own, but they were both great. Long conversations. Betty Spaghetti was a soft talker, though. Didn't hear a word she said, and this has happened to me a couple times at shows now. I met Tom Berenger, one of the nicest guys ever. We talked for like 15 minutes. I could barely hear like one out of every three words. It was so rough because it happened right after we got into Oliver Stone too, who's like probably my favorite director. It's either him or Zemeckis. I don't know. I know that's very varying different choices, but Verhoeven's creeping up the list. So how was Verhoeven to work? Was he a pleasure?
Okay. Well, first of all, because Showgirls is my all-time favorite movie.
Yes. Oh, it's
Um,
a masterpiece. It's perfect.
So
Perfect film.
we go to Verhoeven's house. He wants to do it at his house. And we get there. Obviously, he lives in he's very well to do.
Of course.
And they let us in, and everything is like white. And I'm like, don't set anything down. Like, because if we get it dirty, like he's gonna look at us like you guys made my house dirty. And he was sitting, and I think it was his wife who took us in to meet him, and he was sitting in like this TV room and he was reading the paper. And we stood there in silence watching him read the paper, and he did not look up at us. And I was like, this is gonna be a bad interview. I don't know. This isn't feeling too good. And then once he was done, he was like, close it up. Hey fellas, and then he just jumped into it, and he's like, where would you like to do this? And he started talking about RoboDoc. We're like, save it for the camera, save it for the camera. And so it was great. And and I told him that Showgirls was my all-time favorite movie. I said it, I'm not joking. I literally think it's a brilliant masterpiece. And
Thank you.
And he took me to his office where it's nothing but Showgirls.
That's what I'm saying.
I think Showgirls, I was thinking about this today. Showgirls is the Scarface of the 90s, but we still don't appreciate it yet. We will.
I think we're starting to.
What?
I think we are.
What world is this? What is happening here?
Showgirls is the Scarface of the 90s, and we are starting to appreciate it finally.
I did say this when we did our Showgirls. There is a masterful movie there somewhere in there. I know there is. There's the Scorsese Kubrick version of that movie somewhere. I just don't know what happened.
They're mirror image movies.
I mean, I talked to him about as much about it as I could, because obviously we were there for RoboCop. And I'm like, I don't want to do RoboCop. I want to do Showgirls.
Well, you have your in now.
But
they just did there was that documentary, You Don't Know Me, and I know your work would be far beyond. But I'm such a fan. I really did enjoy that. But I would, I know you would take that and just, it would be like Nukem. It would be so much bigger.
The funny thing. Well, I'll tell you later.
Oh,
there's some juice there.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
no, so I asked him, I was asking him any question I could, and I said, why do you think it, I mean, it was presented in, the previews, like this was going to be the biggest movie of the year. And yes, I was young, but I was old enough to remember like this was going to be a big movie. And he said, he goes, he has his accent, of course, and I can't do it. I'm terrible at them. But and he's just like, well, everyone thinks that Elizabeth can't act. He goes, and that she overacted in every scene. He goes, I told her to do that. He goes,
Yeah.
she's a child. He goes, what do children? He goes, children at the grocery store, they don't get a candy bar. What do? He goes, they cry, they throw their arms up, they overreact. He goes, that's what she was. And he says, but he goes, really, he thinks she was straight off Saved by the Bell. And middle America was not ready for that. So
I've wondered about that. Like, is it, was that too much baggage for the movie? I mean,
100%.
I think we'll just be thinking and talking about Showgirls forever. And I think it's like somewhere between Scarface and Heaven's Gate or something. And it's just brilliant. And man, I hope that movie gets, I hope there's 10 more documentaries on Showgirls. What?
Those are two
Say
wide
again?
bookends there, Chris.
I'm just saying.
Heaven's Gate, Scarface.
It's okay. It's just like Scarface. It's the epic rise and then the epic fall. And both movies pause at about the halfway point and then go from an ascent to a descent. They both have those cheesy things that you love, like different places, or like Al Pacino's dancing.
yeah, but you know what? When she does that whole different places and like the ketchup bottle, the ketchup flies up, like that is the realest moment you're ever going to get on film.
I think
Because
the whole thing's brilliant.
that was not planned. She just slammed the bottle down, and they did not break character.
Yeah.
So it's just like that is the realest moment you're ever going to get on film. Did you see Showgirls 2 Pennies in Heaven?
No, did you see it? I've been trying to find it.
Okay,
yeah, I've seen a trailer. It looks terrible.
It's on Tubi.
Really?
Yes, it's on Tubi. Only the director's cut, and it's like 2 hours and like 40 minutes long or something like that.
Oh
wow! I need this.
And no, you don't.
Yeah,
But if you really want to torture yourself, watch it. Like if you have nothing else to watch it.
oh my God! Well, do that.
There's
Quick
your
question here.
dark hole.
Oh, Alex got a question. Yeah.
Oh, we got time for a pitch?
Sure. Yeah. By all means.
Huh? Okay, cool. 1 second here. Okay. A substitute teacher in Detroit is murdered by a delinquent glee club. Michael Bublé stars in RoboSub, the musical.
Oh, I would watch that. I know Ian will watch that because he'd watch anything that's set in a school.
Oh yeah.
I would have loved a like a Yo Teach, RoboCop, the principal, the substitute, like any of that. Yeah, give me.
Don't we already have like Class of 1999?
Oh yeah.
Well put.
Oh, there's
What's an
a
homage to
whole
Class of
genre.
99? You know, it's
And there's Class of 99 Part 2.
Can we recast Michael Bublé?
we can't afford them. You think it'd be too much?
I don't know.
Yeah, the Bublé is the hardest part of the cell for sure.
Yeah,
but
that would get me. I'd be like, if we can get anybody but Bublé, that would be great.
I'm glad that we got a
Steve
RoboCop
Buscemi.
crossover pitch though, and an
Steve
airborne
Buscemi.
pitch as well. So we are unfortunately just about out of time for tonight. But before we wrap things up, is there any final thoughts, anything you want to let the people know about upcoming wise, or just where to follow you on social media to stay tuned for the latest?
Okay, social media, Instagram at Mikey's Dreamin'. I honestly just want to say thank you for, the love and support for the last 3 documentaries that have come out. We really, 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 really do appreciate it. A lot of hard work went into those, and we try to please everyone. We know we can't, but we try. And available on Screenbox. Also available in stores and online to buy as well.
That's right. Don't snooze. Don't miss out on these things. You never know when discs are going to get harder and harder to find. Better purchase them both ways. Get them digital early and then get them on disc, folks.
I mean, honestly, it's a.
You better preserve your physical media collection, because pretty soon you'll have to buy that for a lot more than $1. But that being the case, I do want to let everyone at home know that you Fandom fans might want to come back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. when we get all 90s on you for our faculty episode. As always, if you enjoyed this
we're
video,
doing the faculty.
That's right, we're doing the faculty, motherfuckers. You're into it, because it is going to be as late 90s and as Elijah Wood and as Josh Hartnett haircut as you could get.
The ball.
Yes, my man knows. So, as always, if you enjoyed this video, the best way to help is to smash that like button and leave a comment telling us what movie or TV franchise that you want us to cover on a future episode of VCR Redux.
Not the fact.
And since you're already doing that, you may as well go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow Fandom Spotlight, the Hollow 9 Network, and Pop Culture Punk. Till then, back up those Betamax, rewind those Laserdiscs, and we'll see you at the movies.
I
Bitches
love
leave.
it.